but to understand with Nectar is, well, the extraordinary points that come out of these commentaries first, but also things we don't read in Krishna book. That although Srila Prabhupada refers to many of these resources, that but here we are in chapter 41 of 10th canto. Krishna and Balaram enter Mathura. So, what happened before? Akrura has gone to Vrindavana to invite Krishna for a wrestling match in Mathura on behalf of King Kamsa. Of course, Akrura revealed immediately the bad intentions of Kamsa. Kamsa wanted Krishna to come to Mathura to kill him. But, of course, when Akrura came in Vrindavana, the residents of Vrindavana were not very happy with Akrura. He was going to take Krishna to Mathura. Especially the gopis were very much aggrieved, tried to stop the cart. But yeah, finally Krishna got good go. After Krishna promised the gopis, I will come back. That was his promise. Then he left with Akrura. Yeah. Akrura means Akrura, one who is not cruel. But the gopis were thinking, he's very cruel. He takes Krishna away from us. Then Akrura drove Krishna to Mathura, while all the other gopas, cowherd boys and Nanda Maharaj, they were walking to Mathura. But who of you has done Vraj Mandal Parikram? 1, 2, yeah? That's how far is Vrindavan from Mathura? That's a bit long, because we did it in one go. But I would say, from my experience, I've done it 3 times, 20, 25 kilometers maybe. Yeah? We did it on one day. It could be 40, yeah.
We take the bus.
Please?
We take the bus.
The bus, okay. Yeah, we walked. That was maybe a different route. But of course, Akrura first stopped at Akrura Ghat. It was later named Akrura Ghat. He took a bath there. And what did he see in the water? Someone knows? What did Akrura see in the water?
So Krishna and Balaram in the chariot.
Yeah, he saw Krishna and Balaram. Then he came out of the water, and he saw Krishna and Balaram again. And Krishna said to him, "Did you see something extraordinary?" And he went back in the water. Anyway, that's the vision of Akrura. Of course, Akrura had to do his morning duties. He took his bath, so it took a while. In meantime, the cowherd boys, they were already at the border of Mathura. And then Krishna and Balaram arrives there, and they meet. And Krishna comes into Mathura, and then the women of Mathura, they run out of their houses, go on their roofs to see Krishna. That they were so eagerly to see him. They had heard about Krishna, but now they could see him. And they were so attracted to Krishna, they hurried. Some put their clothes and ornaments backwards. Some forgot earrings. And others applied makeup on one eye but not on the other. It said that some just abandoned their meals without finishing. That stopped feeding the children and put them down and went to the roof, suddenly gone. So they were captivated by the beauty of Krishna. But then, after that, who is the first person they meet after that? After seeing the women of Mathura, then Krishna met the washerman. Interesting. We'll see what happens with this washerman. Seeing a washerman approaching who had been denying some clothes, that Krishna asked him for the finest laundered garments he had. Lord Krishna said, "Please give me suitable garments to the two of us," Krishna and Balaram, "who certainly deserve them. If you grant this charity, you will undoubtedly receive the greatest benefit." So Krishna comes to you and says, "Do this little service and you get the greatest benefit." What's the greatest benefit we can get? More service. Krishna Prema, yeah. Hare Krishna. And he would have got the greatest benefit. Krishna asked him personally. He offers it. And what does the washerman reply? What does he reply? Someone knows?
Those clothes are not for you, they are for the king. You are a cowboy, you should be dressed in gamsha. Those clothes are not for you, I will not give that to you.
Yeah, he said yes. Thus requested by the Supreme Lord, who is perfectly complete in all respects, that arrogant servant of the king became angry and replied insultingly. The washerman said, "You impudent boys, you are accustomed to roaming the mountains and forest, and yet you dare put on such clothes as these? These are the king's possessions you are asking for. Fools, get out of here quickly. But don't beg like this if you want to stay alive. When someone is too bold, the king's men arrest him and kill him and take his property." As the washerman thus spoke brazenly, the son of Devaki became angry, and then merely with his fingertips he separated the man's head from his body. With his fingertips. So we hear that now, yeah. That happened to this washerman. Why did that happen to this washerman? Who was this washerman in his last life? Someone knows that?
I think he was Ramachandra's leader, and his wife was out in the night, and then he said, "I will not accept you back because I'm not like Ramachandra who accepted the wife back, something like that.
Yeah, very good. We will read from Garga Samhita and get your story confirmed. Garga Samhita tells about the washerman's previous birth. Who was that washerman in his previous life? Why did Krishna kill him? The answer is in Treta Yuga, in Lord Ram's kingdom, in Ayodhya, as Lord Ram's spies overheard, the same washerman said to his wife, I will not maintain you, a sinner who at dawn returns from another's house. Ramachandra, who is greedy to enjoy with his wife, may continue to maintain his Sita, but I am not like Ram. Hearing from many mouths that the people were criticizing him, Lord Ramchandra at once exiled Sita to the forest. So, this washerman was in his previous life the cows that Lord Ramachandra exiled Sita to the forest. So, but Lord Ram had no desire to punish him. But the man in due course of time became a washerman at the end of Dwapara Yuga, and to stop his blasphemy, however, Krishna killed him. So the Lord is an ocean of mercy. He gave him liberation. So the washerman finally stopped his nonsense talk. It's interesting how this Ram Chandra Lila and this Krishna Lila are connected. That's interesting. But now, yes, the washerman left all these clothes. And it is said further here that the washerman's assistants all dropped their bundles of clothes and fled down the road, scattering in all directions. Lord Krishna then took the clothes. So you can imagine, these coward boys have never been out of the village. It's the first time they go to the city in the evening and the night. So Krishna warned him and the coward boys to be nicely dressed for a night out in the city. So it is said Krishna and Balaram put on pairs of garments that especially pleased them. And then Krishna distributed the remaining clothes to the coward boys, leaving some scattered on the ground. And then, who was the next person Krishna met after the washerman? Please. Sudama comes a little later. There's one between because they have these clothes and they are not really fitting. So what needs to happen? Yes? That's even a bit later, but she comes also. Yeah. The tailor, yes. The tailor, or it's called here a weaver. Thereupon a weaver came forward and, feeling affection for the lords, nicely adorned their attire with cloth ornaments of various colors. This is a commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti. The Vayaka is one who weaves using bamboo. He dressed Krishna and Balaram in soft silk cloth of gold color embedded with jewels and ornaments. The word Anurupata indicates that the colors matched nicely. Anurupata also means that in Krishna and Balaram's pastime of becoming wrestlers, cloth ornaments will be suitable because they will not pain their bodies. So, then this weaver, thereupon a weaver came forward and feeling affection for the Lord, nicely adorned them, their attire with cloth ornaments of various colors. So, Srila Prabhupada has a comment on this weaver. It's from Krishna book. Krishna is very pleased with the tailor and gave him the benediction of Svarupya Mukti, which means that after this life he will be liberated and attain a four-handed body exactly like that of Narayan in the Vaikuntha planets. Krishna also granted him that as long as he would live, he would earn sufficient opulence to be able to enjoy sense gratification. By this incident, Krishna proved that those who are Krishna's devotees will not be lacking material enjoyment of sense gratification. They will have sufficient opportunity for such things. But after leaving his body, they will be allowed to enter the spiritual planets of Vaikuntha or Krishna Loka, Goloka, Vrindavana. So, who was this weaver in his previous life? Someone knows what this weaver was? No? You want to know? Yeah? This is from the Garga Samhita. The tailor did not only dress Krishna and Balaram, he dressed also the Gopa boys too. He served the devotees as well. And he gave the weaver a transcendental form as his own. Krishna gave him the form, and Balaram gave him the strength, handsomeness, and opulence like his own. So who was the weaver in his previous life? This refers again to Ram Lila. In his previous life, he was a weaver in Mithila. Mithila, Mithila is a place where king, is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, this king, as an example of the perfection of duties, performing duties perfectly. I forgot the name. Janak, yeah, King Janak. King Janak, he was a father of Sita. And he was the ruler of Mithila. So in his previous life, the weaver was in Mithila and was a great devotee, an expert weaver. And on King Sudavacha's order, he made very nice clothes for Ram and Lakshman to wear on Lord Ram's wedding. Interesting. He saw Lord Ram and Lakshman, who were more handsome than millions of Kamadevs. The weaver became enchanted, and in his heart he desired, I wish with my own hands I could make clothes to place on their limbs. In his heart, Lord Ram blessed him. His desire would be fulfilled at the end of Dvapara Yuga. That in Bharatvarsha. Yeah. By the blessings of Lord Ram, he took birth in Mathura, and by his blessings he made his cloth ornaments and attained the transcendental form. It seems that many devotees of Ram Lila coming back in Krishna's Lila. That's interesting. So yes, then we have after the weaver, the tailor, who came? Sudam. Let's hear about Sudam. So pleased with the weaver, the Supreme Lord Krishna blessed him that after death he would achieve the liberation of attaining a form like the Lord's. And that while in this world he would enjoy supreme opulence, physical strength, influence, memory, and sensory vigor. The two lords went to the house of the garland maker Sudam. So that's interesting. They are going to the house of Sudam. Sudam is not coming. They are going to his house. When Sudam saw them, he at once stood up and then bowed down, placing his head on the ground. After offering them seats and bathing their feet, Sudam worshipped them and their companions with arghya, water, garlands, pan, sandalwood paste, and other presentations. And then Sudam offered prayers. So, Sudam. Who was Sudam in his previous life? Someone knows? No? This time it's not from Ram Lila. So we'll hear again from Garga Samhita. There it is stated. The garland maker was in his previous birth a devotee of Lord Shiva. In his last life, he was in Kuvera's garden serving as a gardener. Kuvera's garden. He was a gardener. And his name was Hemamali. He worshipped Lord Shiva with the purpose of attaining association of Lord Vishnu. That's bona fide demigod worship. He worshipped Lord Shiva to attain Lord Krishna. So he worshipped Lord Shiva to get the association of Lord Krishna. But for 5,000 years, at that time they lived a little longer, for 5,000 years, he took 300 lotus flowers and placed them before Lord Shiva and bowed down. So every day, 300 lotus flowers he offered to Lord Shiva and bowed down every day for 5,000 years. So we performed 30, 40 years service, but he did 5,000 years. That's long. But finally, Lord Shiva was pleased that one day he said, "Intelligent florist, ask for a boon." With folded hands, he circumambulated him, and standing before him with bowed head, Hemamali spoke, "By your blessings, may I be able to see with my own eyes the perfect Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, and enter my home." That's why Krishna went into his home and enter my home. He went straight to his house. So that's why Krishna went to his house. And Lord Shiva replied, "Yes, in Bharatvarsha, at the end of Dvapara Yuga, your desire will bear fruit. Of this There is no doubt. And that's proper demigod worship to get Krishna. So we have heard three of them, which Krishna met: the washerman, the weaver or the tailor, and the florist. And we heard about their previous life. But we have also previous lives. And what we experience in this life is due to what we did in previous lives. So Krishna conscious, one who becomes Krishna conscious, he sees beyond this life. That's also what we learned in the morning class. If we perform activities which are only concerned with the body, mind and words, with the body and with the subtle body, then we perform pious and impious activities and get good and bad results. But the activities of all these devotees was related to Krishna. Even this washerman got liberation. Because his mind was fixed on Krishna, on Lord Ram. Although, in a negative sense. So he was not favorably Krishna conscious. But they were all connected with Krishna in their previous life. And therefore, one who fixed one's mind to Krishna, in Bhagavad Gita he said, one who worships the demigods go to the demigods. One who worships me comes to me, Krishna said. So, if we perform activities not related to Krishna, then we get karma in next life. And if we only perform activities for Krishna, we become purified. So, do we think every moment like that? I do an activity that if it's not for Krishna, it will cause birth and death. Because it's related to the body and the mind, so so that's a lesson to learn from this. If we perform activities, see the broader pictures. What we have today is a result of our previous lives, many previous lives. So it shows also nothing happens by chance, also not in Krishna's pastimes. All these personalities, they have a past, of course, then Krishna will meet Kubja. He will break the bow of Lord Shiva. Kamsa will hear the cracking of the bow. and he will understand. My death is coming. So that's the first evening of the cowboys in Mathura. Of course, it's also Kubja before. And then the next morning, Krishna has a fight with Kuvalaya Pida, the big elephant, kills him, get out his strength, not his strength, his horns, what is it called? Please? Tusks, yeah. He pulls out their tusks, and then with the tusk on their back, still the blood coming down from it, he enters the arena. And there he meets these wrestlers. There are 5 wrestlers, but first they deal with Shanura and Mustika. And when they entered the arena, and we will read that part, this is the killing of Kamsa. So here. So especially the women in the arena were thinking this is unfair. This Chanura and this Mustika, their body is so strongly built. And there you have 2 boys of 10, 11 years, small boys. And these women, they think that it's unfair, that's irreligious. They are not of equal match. So people were talking in that way. But then Krishna and Balaram were standing before Shanura and Mustika. And Shanura said to Krishna, O son of Nanda, O Ram, you two are well respected by courageous men and are both skillful at wrestling. Having heard of your prowess, the king has called you here, wanting to see for himself. Subjects of the king who try to please him with their thoughts, acts, and words are sure to achieve good fortune, but those who fail to do so suffer the opposite fate. It is well known that cowherd boys are always joyful as they tend their calves, and that the boys playfully wrestle with each other while grazing their animals in the various forests. Therefore, let's do what the king wants. Everyone will be pleased with us, for the king embodies all living beings. Hearing this, Lord Krishna liked to wrestle and welcomed the challenge, replied with words appropriate to time and place. Lord Krishna said, although forest dwellers, we are subjects of the Bhoja king. We must gratify his desires, for such behavior will confer upon us the greatest benefit. But we are just young boys and should play with those of equal strength. The wrestling match must go on properly so that irreligion does not taint the respectable members of the audience. So Shanura replied, He said, yes. You are not really a child, he said, or a young man. And also Balaram not. That you just killed an elephant that had the strength of thousands of other elephants. Therefore, you should fight with powerful wrestlers. There is certainly not unfair about that. O the son of Vishnu, can show your prowess against me, and Balaram can fight with Mustika. And then the fight starts. But interesting is, I think I have something here about the history of these fighters. The next, yeah. So these wrestlers were engaged by Kamsa. How did Kamsa get these wrestlers? Someone knows where they come from? No? How did they? You want to know? Yeah, yes. We go to the Garya Samhita. And so these wrestlers, they are in a certain situation here. They are practically servants of Kamsa. How did they become servant of Kamsa? We have to hear about this, about their previous life. So first we will hear, before hearing about their previous life, how Kamsa got these wrestlers. So one time, being very proud of the strength of his arms and eager to fight, Kamsa went all along to Mahismati. Chanura, Mustika, Kuta, Chala and Toshal, so there were 5. They were sons of the king of Mahismati, and they were wrestlers who were very eager to defeat their opponents. Kamsa said to them, "Let us fight. If you win, then I become your servant, and if I win you, I will keep you always as my servants." That was the deal. When Shanura rushed at Kamsa, he made a great sound and threw him to the ground. Kamsa made a great sound and threw him to the ground. When Mustika rushed at him with ferocious punches, with one punch, Kamsa knocked him to the ground. Then when Kuta rushed at him, Kamsa knocked him to the ground and grasped his feet and violently threw him into the sky. When Chala, waving his arms, rushed at him, Kamsa took him at his arm, pulled him down and dragged him about. Next, Kamsa grabbed Toshal, knocked him to the ground by the power of his arms. He threw him a distance of 18 miles. In this way, Kamsa made all the wrestlers his servants. But who were these wrestlers in their previous birth? In ancient time, there was a great sage, Uttattiya, who lived in Amravati. He had 5 sons, as handsome as Kamadev. Uttattiya is a son of Biraspati. that Brihaspati is the son of Angira, and Angira is one of the mental sons of Brahma. He's the father of Brihaspati. Atatya had 5 sons. So let's see what happened to these sons. They were sons of Uttatya, who was a great Brahmin. And they got an education as a Brahmin. Abandoning their studies and chanting of mantras, these sons of a great sage, they went to Bali's wrestling camp and studied wrestling daily. So instead of studying and chanting their mantras, they went to Bali Maharaj, the demons, and learned from them wrestling. Instead of chanting their mantras as good Brahman boys, they wanted to wrestle with Bali. So they were not ordinary sages, they were demigod sages. But they went to the demon side. Atatya, their father, angrily spoke to his sons who had neglected their Vedic studies. Why do you Brahmin sons neglect your religious duties and engage in wrestling, which is the Kshatriya work? I curse you to become wrestlers in Bharatvarsha. By associating with demons, you will become demons yourself. In this way, Uttatya's sons were born as wrestlers on the earth, but simply by the touch of Krishna's body, they attained liberation. Uttatya is the spiritual master of Mandatta, married Bhadra, daughter of Sona. So yes, these are all stories of previous lives of these great personalities. So that is the beginning of Krishna's Mathura pastimes. But tomorrow evening we will go back to Vrindavana. We will go back in time. And we'll hear about Krishna's relationships with his devotees mainly. We will hear about Uddhav visiting Vrindavan and his experience with the Vraja Gopis. And there, why did Krishna send Uddhav to Vrindavan? Someone knows? Why did Krishna send Uddhav to Vrindavan?
Because Uddhav could understand Krishna's heart, was very close to Krishna, and looked also very much.
Yeah, he was a counselor and very dear friend of Krishna. That's part of the reason why Krishna sent him. But what was his mission? What was Krishna's mission? Uddhav's mission? Someone knows? Why Krishna sent Uddhav? Yes, please, Namoda.
Uddhava had still some space to improve in his devotion. And Krishna sent him to Vrindavan that he could learn the Vraja Bhakti from the gopis, that he could see what they had for the devotion to Krishna.
Yes, he sent Uddhav to learn about Prema Bhakti. That's one reason. Other reasons? That, please? Yes, to console the gopis. That was the mission of Uddhav. To console the gopis and... Hmm?
So he also said that he will come back, that Krishna will come back.
Yeah, he promised that it would arrange that he would arrange that Krishna would come back. Yeah. And Srimati Radharani was very pleased with that. But what Krishna gave something to Uddhav for the gopis. What was this? What did Krishna give to Uddhav? Letters. He gave a message, yes. And Uddhav will read that message. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Message. But in that part of the Bhagavatam, Uddhav will hear and associate with the Braja Gopis. And he will learn about the love of the Vrindavasis for Krishna, which is the highest love. We will learn about that. And we will go to this chapter tomorrow. We can do that tomorrow, to this chapter, and learn together with Uddhav about the love of the Vraja Gopis. Would you all like to do that? Yeah? Yeah. And hear the commentaries. Long commentaries from Jiva Goswami. Very beautiful. Sridhar Swami, Srila Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur. And we will go to these commentaries that and learn that. Learn what is this Braja Prema. That it's a special mood. It's a mood. And Krishna cannot give up that mood. When he's in Dvarka, he dreams from it. So he cannot give it up. The love of the Vrindavasis. So that we will learn tomorrow. So we went to the pastime, Krishna entering Mathura. We discussed his three personalities and their previous life. We heard about the previous life of these wrestlers. So that may make us reflect what was my previous life? How did I get here? And what will be my next life? That we can know to the eyes of Shastra. Srila Rupa Goswami says that the process of devotional service is a process that goes over many births. Srila Prabhupada also said, you are a devotee because you were a devotee in your previous life. So that, and here we learn about devotees' previous lives. how they, yeah. Interesting. That, so we can reflect on that. We are the architect of our own future. That, yes, without the future that we now are building. That if we act absorbed in the duality of good and bad, then we are back in this world. That do we think always what I'm doing? Am I doing that for Krishna? That intention, that desire should be there, always. Maybe that you are not always thinking of Krishna, but the intention of what you do must be to please Krishna. Like if you go to the airport, you drive a car, you pick up your spiritual master and drive to the temple. While you drive to the temple, you may have to look at traffic rules and how to manipulate the car to get safe at the temple. And your mind may not be fixed on Krishna. But do you forget that your spiritual master is in the back of the car? No, you don't forget. So the purpose should be clear for which we do things. That's important. And how to increase our commitment to the service of Krishna. Increase our commitment. That's also the concern of all devotees who are preaching. The idea is that we are helping others to elevate their consciousness. That's important. So this Krishna book, this 10th canto, these pastimes are very practical. And our acharyas give so many practical examples. So, any reflections from your side? Yes.
I had a question coming up. I don't remember if it was the Sudam, the flower maker. There was one of those persons in his previous life. He worshipped Lord Shiva for 5,000 years, offering
it was Sudam, yeah.
And I was just wondering, one name of Lord Shiva is known to be Ashutosh, like very easily pleased. And I was wondering why it took 5,000 years for Lord Shiva to be pleased and grant his benediction.
Yeah, that's interesting. That Lord Shiva is easily pleased when you want a material benediction. But this is the highest perfection that Sudam in his previous life wanted. That is interesting. It took a while. It's not so easy to become a devotee of Krishna. But Lord Shiva easily, Ashutosh, gives easily material benediction. because in principle, although we have Shiva Tattva here, it's between Vishnu Tattva and the living entity. That, but Lord Shiva was, because Krishna consciousness can only be given by Krishna. That, but Lord Shiva is one of the greatest devotees of Krishna. When he gives a blessing, Krishna must fulfill it. That, yes. But of course, you can imagine that when Lord Shiva gives such a blessing, he wants to be sure that it's about a sincere devotee and not a prakriti bhakta. That devotee is sincere. And I think therefore it may have taken some time. That because he don't want anyone, but don't want to bother Krishna with futilities or that. Because finally, he gave the benediction that he would meet Krishna, but it's only Krishna who can fulfill it. that the same was with Narada Muni, with Mani Griva. It's the same thing. Nala Kuveram. He fulfilled the words of his pure devotee. There's the power of the words of a pure devotee. But while I was reading it, I had the same thought of you as you. You asked the question which I felt internally interesting. And I felt, yes, that must be the reason. That because Lord Shiva has two kinds of disciples. You have the ghosts and these oblogins and the lower creatures, and he's very merciful to them, but they want material things. But he instructs also great sages in the science of pure devotional service. And that's another level. So, and he gave a benediction on that level, not on a material level. That's interesting. But just by offering always these flowers, 5,000 years, he got the darshan of Krishna, that liberation. But of course he was in Treta Yuga, a long life. Probably it was his previous life, so quite quick in that sense. But time is relative. It's relative. That Treta Yuga was Satya Yuga in his goodness. It's nearly goodness, Treta Yuga. That, if everything goes good, time goes quick. And that's also interesting. It's nice reflection. Thank you. Anything else? Yes, Mother Damodar, please.
I was wondering, this Vader, he got liberation in a four-armed form, although he got the darshan of Krishna and Balaram. Is there any explanation for that?
Yeah, of course. That we will hear tomorrow about the love of the Braja, gopis and residents of Vrindavana. And Ram Lila In Ram Lila, everyone knows Lord Ram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They know it. And they are all in awe and reverence for Lord Ram. Also the weaver. Because after offering these flower garlands to Krishna, here when he enters Mathura, Sudama is offering prayers. It's very clear from these prayers. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's Vaikuntha mood. He was in Vaikuntha mood and he got a body of the resonance of Vaikuntha. And there are many sub-moods in Vaikuntha. There's a planet Ayodhya there, and Lord Ram and Sita are there eternally, with Hanuman, Lakshman, and so on. And that was probably his destination. And all the residents, the male residents, they have 4 arms there. And that's where he's probably going to. According to his mood, we get a destination that interesting. I spoke in Radhadesh to a yoga group, and I told them about the 3 modes in material nature, and according to our association with these modes, what life forms we get. And then, but above the 3 modes, you have 3 realizations of the Absolute Truth. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan realization. It's also 3 spiritual realizations. And in the Bhagavatam realization, only with the Bhagavan realization can you enter the spiritual world. But then in the spiritual world there are so many divisions according to one's mood again. And Krishna reciprocates that our mood is there because of our desires. And we will see the desires of the Vraja Gopis is very special. They only want to please Krishna. That it is the most purest love. They don't care about opulence, even not about awe and reverence. They want to love Krishna. And that comes all on the background. And that's very special, and Krishna loves that. He wants to be treated as an equal or as a lover. And that is Goloka Vrindavan, beyond Vaikuntha. That we will discuss tomorrow. And this Goloka Vrindavan is very special because it's Lord Chaitanya who opened the doors to Goloka Vrindavan. And revealed how to love Krishna in these higher moods, as friend, as parent, as lover. The higher modes of devotion. But it's very rarely attained. It's even very rarely that someone understands the love of the Vraja Gopis. And tomorrow we will try to enter that. We will also learn about, and what is very special about what we learn tomorrow is the Viraha Bhav. loving Krishna in separation. The feelings of separation and the importance of that. Good. Anything else?
I just had another reflection regarding Sudam and his previous life. I don't know, maybe you mentioned already, but he was for 5,000 years picking up 300 lotus flower. And then he can get darshan of the Lord, but he appears as a garland maker. So he was really staying with flowers.
Yeah. Yeah, he was not changing its situation. Well, but he got a benediction of Lord Shiva that he would enter his house, and he entered his house, the Lord. That's interesting. Because one may ask, well, why is suddenly entering the house of someone? And that's all clarified by knowing the previous life of Sudam. Because many times we may see so many things in the pastimes of Krishna, but why does he not now do? Why is that like this and that? But we see only the moment and not the whole picture of how it came to them. And Lord Krishna does so many things at the same time, and that makes us also more acquainted with the personality of Krishna, how he deals with his devotees from life to life, that we don't remember our previous lives, but he knows perfectly. Good. Thank you very much, and we'll continue tomorrow and go in the Viraha Bhav of the Gopis and residence of Vrindavana, the Vraja Bhumi, the prema of the residence of Vrindavana. Srila Prabhupada ki